3 weeks passed quickly as Earth prepared for the coming storm. Throughout the solar system, hidden installations hummed with activity. Massive ships emerged from their secret berths behind Neptune. Defense platforms that had been disguised as asteroid mining stations revealed their true nature. On Mars and the Moon, underground hangars opened to release squadrons of fighters that no alien race had ever seen. Jack Miller stood on the bridge of the Determination, Earth's flagship as far as the Galactic Council knew. The vessel appeared, outdated by galactic standards with visible weld lines and bulky external systems. This too was by design. Beneath the crude exterior lay technologies that would shock their alien counterparts. "Ambassador, the Krell fleet has entered the solar system," reported Communications Officer Maria Smith. "They've bypassed the outer system warning buoys without responding to hails." Captain Greg Harris nodded grimly. "Just as we expected. They believe they're dealing with an easy target." Jack moved to the central view screen. 15 Krell warships approached, massive and imposing. Their hulls glinted with weapon ports, and energy readings suggested shields far more powerful than Earth's supposed defenses could handle. The Krell flagship transmitted a message to all frequencies. A harsh face appeared on screen, reptilian with yellow eyes and armored ridges. "People of Earth, I am Supreme Warlord Zix of the Krell Empire. Your resources are required for the glory of our expansion. Surrender your colony worlds immediately, or face complete destruction. You have 1 Earth hour to decide." Greg turned to Jack. "Well, Ambassador, 50 years of pretending to be weak has led to this moment. Should we continue the act a little longer?" Jack smiled slightly. "Let's give them a taste of the deception first. Open a channel." When the connection was established, Jack adopted the nervous demeanor expected of a minor species representative. "Warlord Zix, this is Ambassador Jack Miller of Earth. We request time to consult with our government regarding your demands." The alien commander laughed, showing rows of sharp teeth. "You have 1 hour, human, no more. Prepare your surrender documents." When the transmission ended, Jack straightened and his expression hardened. "Captain Harris, alert Admiral Martinez that we're moving to Phase 2. It's time to show the Krell who they're really dealing with." Greg nodded with satisfaction. "With pleasure, Ambassador." Orders flashed throughout the solar system. On Earth, in underground bunkers and hidden mountain bases, defense systems activated. In orbit around Mars, cloaked sensor platforms began detailed scans of the Krell fleet. And from the shadow of Neptune, the true Earth fleet began to move. "Admiral, Karen Martinez watched from her command center on Luna, as hundreds of signals appeared on the strategic display. Each represented a vessel or weapons platform that humanity had built in secret. The fruits of 50 years of preparation were finally being revealed. "All ships report ready, Admiral," her aide announced. Karen nodded. "Begin Operation Revelation." On the Determination, Greg Harris addressed his crew. "Ladies and gentlemen, today we reveal who we truly are." He pressed a sequence on his command console. Throughout the small Earth fleet, outer hull panels slid, a way to reveal advanced weapon systems. Shield emitters that had been deliberately weakened for alien inspection, now powered up to full capacity. Engines that had been throttled to appear primitive now glowed with their true power. The Krell fleet continued their approach, still believing they faced only the 12 Earth vessels visible on their sensors. Warlord Zix prepared his victory speech, confident that these humans would surrender rather than face annihilation. Then his tactical officer shouted in alarm. "Warlord, new contacts appearing throughout the system." Zix rushed to the sensor display. What he saw made his blood run cold. Hundreds of vessels were appearing where none had been detected before. Some emerged from behind planets and moons. Others simply appeared as if from nowhere as advanced cloaking systems deactivated. "Impossible," he hissed. "Their technology cannot be this advanced." On the Determination, Jack watched as confusion spread through the Krell fleet. Their tight formation began to waver as ship captains registered the sudden appearance of an armada that vastly outnumbered them. "Open a channel to Warlord Zix," Jack ordered. When the Krell commander appeared on screen, his yellow eyes were wide with shock. "Warlord Zix." Jack said calmly. For 50 years, your empire and others have dismissed humans as primitive newcomers to the galaxy. You've encroached on our territories, stolen our resources, and ignored our diplomatic protests. Jack's voice hardened. We allowed this. We wanted to learn about our galactic neighbors before revealing our true capabilities. What we learned is that species like yours respect only one thing: power. On cue, the Earth fleet activated their targeting systems. On the Krell sensors, hundreds of weapons locks appeared simultaneously. This is your only warning, Jack continued. Withdraw from our space immediately. Any hostile action will be met with overwhelming force. Warlord Zix snarled, his shock turning to rage. This deception will not save you. The Krell Empire does not retreat. He cut the transmission. Moments later, the Krell flagship fired the first shot. The energy beam struck the determination shields. In the past, such an attack would have crippled an Earth vessel. Now the shields flared briefly but held firm. No damage, reported Defensive Systems Officer Peter Young. Shield capacity at 97% and regenerating. Greg Harris nodded. Target, their weapon systems only. Show them what we can do, but try to avoid casualties. The battle that followed was brief but decisive. Earth's hidden fleet deployed weapons technologies the galactic community had thought impossible. Phase-shift torpedoes bypassed Krell shields entirely. Quantum-locked hull plating deflected energy weapons with minimal damage. Most shocking were the human AI combat systems that adapted to Krell tactics in real time. Within minutes, 12 Krell ships had lost weapons and propulsion systems. 2 had suffered critical damage and were evacuating crews. Only the flagship continued fighting, though its shields were failing rapidly. Jack opened a channel again. Warlord Zix, your fleet is defeated. Surrender now, and we will provide medical assistance to your wounded. Zix stared at the human with hatred. How? Your species has been in space less than a century. We've been fighting each other for thousands of years, Jack replied. When we reached the stars and found empires like yours, we didn't see friends. We recognized predators. So we waited, we watched, and we built. As the Krell flagship finally powered down its weapons, Jack turned to Captain Harris. Signal Admiral Martinez. Tell her it's time for Phase 3. The galaxy needs to know that the rules have changed. Throughout the galaxy, Earth's diplomatic corps were already delivering a carefully crafted message to every major power. Recordings of the battle, along with technical specifications of weapons and defensive systems that humanity was now willing to acknowledge. The message was clear. Humanity had been underestimated, and they would not be underestimated again. Jack Miller adjusted his formal Earth uniform as he entered the massive chamber of the Galactic Council. Tall windows showed the stars beyond, tiny pinpricks of light against endless black. The room buzzed with the voices of more than 50 alien species. Some looked almost human. Others resembled nothing Jack had ever seen on Earth. He took his seat at the back of the room, in the section reserved for what the Council called emerging species. Earth had held this low-ranking position for 50 years now. This was by design. Ambassador Miller, a voice whispered. Jack turned to see the blue-skinned delegate from Proxima Centauri. I heard the Krell Empire attacked another of your mining outposts. Will you raise the issue today? Jack smiled politely. We're gathering evidence before making formal claims. The Proximan nodded with sympathy. The Council rarely acts against the Krell. They control too many trade routes. Jack knew this well. In the 5 decades since humans had joined the galactic community, they had learned hard lessons about interstellar politics. The strong took what they wanted. The weak complained to the Council and received empty promises. But humans were not actually weak. This was something the galaxy had yet to discover. After Earth's first contact with alien life, military and political leaders had made a careful decision. Humanity would hide its true potential. They would appear cooperative but unremarkable. They would share medical advances and art, but keep their military capabilities hidden. This plan, created by Admiral Susan Wright, was called the Containment Protocol. It served one purpose: to give Earth time to prepare while learning about Potential threats. Jack checked his wrist device. In 20 minutes, he would present Earth's petition regarding the Krell border violations. The Council would dismiss it, as they always did with complaints from minor species, and Jack would accept their decision with humble thanks. Meanwhile, back in the Sol system, humanity built in secret. Fleet Admiral Karen Martinez stood in the massive underground chamber beneath the lunar surface. Before her stretched the largest shipyard humanity had ever constructed. Hundreds of workers moved around the skeletal frame of a warship, unlike anything Earth had officially acknowledged. Building. The Defiance will be ready within the month, said Chief Engineer Paul Davis. Her sister ships Resolve and Courage are already running final tests. Karen nodded. And the cloak systems? Perfect. The Galactic standard scanners can't detect them. We've tested against captured Krell and Viridian technology as well. For decades, Earth had maintained a small defense fleet that appeared merely adequate by galactic standards. These were the ships that patrolled human space openly. But here, in hidden facilities throughout the solar system, the real fleet took shape. Admiral, we've received a message from Ambassador Miller, her aide said, hurrying across the metal walkway. The Council meeting has begun. Karen sighed. She knew what would happen. Jack would present evidence of Krell aggression. The Council would debate briefly. Then they would advise Earth to improve its defensive capabilities or consider yielding the disputed territories. Let me know when he sends the signal, she said. Because this time might be different. This time, they had decided, might be when humanity finally showed its hand. In his private quarters aboard the Star Voyager, Captain Steve Bennett reviewed the latest intelligence reports. His ship, officially registered as a long-range science vessel, was in fact one of Earth's most advanced scout ships. For 3 years, they had mapped Krell military movements while disguised as a civilian research mission. Captain, we've detected unusual activity at the Krell forward base, said First Officer Linda Green, entering with a data tablet. Their battle fleet is mobilizing, 15 capital ships, at least 30 support vessels. Steve studied the images. Direction? They're on a direct course to the Sol system. Estimated arrival in 3 weeks if they maintain current speed. He felt a cold certainty settle in his stomach. It's happening sooner than we expected. Alert Earth Command immediately. Priority Alpha. As Linda hurried to send the message, Steve gazed at the stars through his viewport. For 50 years, humanity had prepared for this moment. They had built their hidden fleets, developed technologies the Galactic Council believed were centuries beyond human capability, all while pretending to be a species barely worth noticing. Message sent, Captain, Linda reported. Earth Command acknowledges. Admiral Martinez is implementing Verdant Protocol. Steve nodded. Verdant Protocol, the end of containment, the revelation of what humanity truly was. Set course for Earth maximum speed, he ordered. We need to be there when it begins. Back in the Council chamber, Jack's presentation had gone exactly as expected. The Viridian delegates had dismissed Earth's evidence. The Krell representative had accused humans of provoking the incidents. The Council chair had advised more diplomatic efforts. Jack's wrist device vibrated with an incoming message. He glanced down at the single word on the screen. Confirmed. So the rumors were true. The Krell fleet was coming. He rose from his seat, thanked the Council for their time, and withdrew his petition with practiced humility. Ambassador Miller called the Tellarite representative as Jack prepared to leave. Your species shows remarkable patience. Many others would react with anger to such dismissal. Jack offered a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Humans understand our place in the galaxy, Counselor. A commendable attitude, the alien replied. Perhaps in another century, Earth will have developed enough to warrant a full council seat. Perhaps, Jack said. Though circumstances can change quickly. He left the chamber with unhurried steps, maintaining the image of a disappointed but accepting representative of a minor power. No one noticed the rapid messages he sent as he walked, or the slight smile that formed as he received confirmation that his reports had reached Earth. In his small ship returning to Earth, Jack reviewed the contingency plans that would now go into effect. The hidden fleets would be activated, the advanced defense systems would emerge from their concealment. The weapons that humans had developed but hidden from their galactic neighbors would be prepared. For 50 years, humanity had hidden its strength while the galaxy's powers dismissed them as primitive newcomers. For 50 years they had endured territorial encroachments, resource theft, and diplomatic disrespect. But now the Krell were coming in force. The time for hiding was over. Jack sent a final message to Admiral Martinez. Verdant confirmed. Let them see who we really are. The containment era was officially over. News of the Krell defeat spread through the galaxy faster than anyone expected. Within days, even the most distant worlds had seen recordings of the battle. Everyone watched as the supposedly primitive humans revealed technology that matched, or exceeded that of the oldest galactic powers. The Krell fleet limped home, their ships barely functioning, and their pride shattered. Warlord Zix faced severe punishment from his superiors. The Krell Empire, for the first time in centuries, found itself on the defensive. On Earth, Admiral Karen Martinez stepped onto the main stage of the Global Defense Headquarters. Hundreds of military and civilian leaders had gathered to hear her speak. Billions more watched through video feeds. Today marks a new chapter for humanity, she began. For 50 years, we have hidden in plain sight. We appeared weak while building our strength. We seemed primitive while developing advanced technology. This strategy served its purpose, but that purpose has ended. She gestured to a large screen showing images from across human space. Hidden shipyards now operating openly. Defense platforms that had been concealed beneath false exteriors. Training facilities where soldiers and pilots had prepared for this day. We no longer need to hide who we are, Karen continued. Now, we must decide who we will be in this galaxy. Meanwhile, Jack Miller prepared for the emergency session of the Galactic Council. His small diplomatic ship docked at the massive station where representatives from all major species would soon gather. This time, he would not sit quietly in the back of the chamber. The council members are already demanding explanations, said his assistant, Olivia Wilson. The Viridians are particularly upset. They're claiming we violated council rules by concealing military capabilities. Jack smiled. The same rules they use to keep newer species weak and dependent? Yes, I imagine they're upset. As he entered the council chamber, Jack noticed the difference immediately. Before, delegates had barely acknowledged his presence. Now, they fell silent as he walked to the center of the room. Some looked fearful, others seemed angry, a few appeared impressed. The council leader, a tall being with 4 arms and silver skin, called the session to order. Ambassador Miller, you have been summoned to explain Earth's deception and unprovoked attack on a Krell battle group. Jack remained calm. I'm happy to explain, Council Leader, but let's be accurate. The Krell entered our solar system with a battle fleet. They demanded we surrender our colonies. When we refused, they attacked. We defended ourselves. These are simple facts. He touched a control on his wrist, and the room's main display showed images of previous Krell attacks on human outposts. For years we brought evidence of these violations to the Council. Each time we were told to improve our defenses or yield territory. That does not explain why your species concealed its true capabilities, argued the Viridian representative, a bird-like creature with bright green feathers. Such deception violates the trust upon which this council functions. Jack couldn't help but laugh. Trust? When we joined the galactic community, we trusted that established powers would help protect newcomers. Instead, we found predators waiting for easy prey. He walked slowly around the central platform, making eye contact with each council member. Humans come from a world where we were never the strongest species. We survived by using our minds. When we met alien life, we applied the same principle. We studied. We learned. We prepared. The Tellarite representative leaned forward. What does Earth want now? To replace the Krell as an aggressive empire? No, Jack said firmly. If domination was our goal, we would have conquered half the galaxy by now. We want what we've always wanted, to explore, to trade, to live in peace. But we will no longer pretend to be weak to make others comfortable. A murmur spread through the chamber. Jack had more to say, but he was interrupted by an urgent message. He read it quickly, his expression hardening. It seems the Krell are not finished, he announced. They've launched attacks against 3 human colony worlds, not with military ships but with hired mercenaries and pirate groups. The council leader looked alarmed. Ambassador, perhaps we should discuss this privately. No. Jack cut him off. No more private discussions. No more diplomatic games. He touched his wrist control again, and new images appeared on the display. Earth ships were already at the colonies under attack. Not the known Earth defense fleet, but vessels from the hidden armada. They moved with impossible speed, intercepting attackers before they could reach civilian targets. Humanity tried playing by your rules, Jack told the silent chamber. Those rules seemed designed to keep us weak, so we made our own rules. Back in the Sol system, Steve Bennett and the crew of the Star Voyager monitored reports from the colony worlds. The mercenary attacks had been stopped with minimal casualties. Captain, we're receiving a new transmission, Linda Green reported. Multiple sources, not just from the Krell systems. Steve read the incoming data with growing concern. Alert Earth Command immediately. The Krell weren't acting alone. On 5 different worlds across the galaxy, protests were breaking out. Not against Earth, but against the established powers. Younger species that had joined the galactic community in recent decades were demanding the same rights and protections that humans had seized for themselves. In the council chamber, Jack received this information just as he was finishing his address. We've monitored communications between several council members, he said, his voice cold. The Krell attack was encouraged by others who wanted to put humans in their place. That plan has failed. The chamber erupted in shouts and denials. Jack waited for them to quiet before continuing. Earth is establishing new boundaries effective immediately. Our colonies are now protected by our full military capability. Additionally, we've signed mutual defense agreements with 7 developing worlds that have suffered similar treatment. The council leader looked stricken. You cannot simply ignore established galactic protocols. We're not ignoring them, Jack interrupted. We're changing them. For too long, the strong have preyed on the weak in this galaxy. That ends today, as Jack left the chamber. Messages poured in from across human space. The plan was working better than expected. The display of Earth's true strength had not only deterred the Krell, but had inspired other species to stand up for themselves. Admiral Martinez received Jack's report with satisfaction. The first phase of their new strategy was complete. Earth had revealed its strength. They had sent a clear message to would-be aggressors. Now came the harder part, using that strength wisely. Begin diplomatic outreach to all species classified as developing, she ordered her staff. Offer technical assistance, trade agreements, and defensive support if needed. One of her advisors looked concerned. Admiral, some council powers will see this as a direct challenge to their authority. Karen nodded. It is. The galaxy needs new leadership. Not conquerors or exploiters, but protectors. Earth didn't build its strength to become another empire. We built it to create something better. As ships departed Earth carrying diplomats and aid workers alongside their military escorts, humanity's message to the galaxy became clear. We held back. But no more. And the galaxy will be better for it. 1 month after Earth's revelation, the galaxy was still adjusting to the new reality. The Krell Empire had withdrawn from 3 disputed sectors, claiming they were reassessing territorial priorities. In truth, they feared human retaliation for past aggressions. The Galactic Council remained in nearly continuous emergency session. Half the members demanded sanctions against Earth for deceptive practices. The other half, mostly younger species, argued that humans had simply protected themselves from predatory powers. On the newly established Earth Embassy Station orbiting the neutral world of Centauri Prime, Jack Miller prepared for the most important diplomatic meeting of his career. Representatives from 27 species, most previously ignored by the galactic powers, had answered Earth's invitation. "They're ready for you, Ambassador," said Olivia Wilson, now his chief of staff. "All 27 delegates are present," Jack nodded. "And our guests of honor?" "Arrived 10 minutes ago. They're waiting in the side chamber as requested." Jack straightened his formal uniform and entered the large conference room. The delegates rose as he entered. Some looked hopeful. Others seemed cautious. All were curious about why Earth had brought them together. "Thank you all for coming," Jack began. "Each of your worlds has something in common with Earth. You're all relatively new to the galactic stage. You've all faced exploitation from older powers, and you've all been told to accept your place at the bottom of the hierarchy." Murmurs of agreement spread through the room. The delegate from Proxima Centauri, Earth's closest neighbor, spoke up. "We watched what you did to the Krell. Impressive, but what do you want from us? To form a military alliance against the Council?" Jack smiled. "Not against anyone. For something better." He gestured and the side doors opened. In walked representatives from 3 of the oldest and most respected scientific worlds in the galaxy. These were planets that had remained neutral in power struggles for centuries, focusing instead on advancement of knowledge. "Many of you know Ambassador Lee from New Terra," Jack introduced the first newcomer, "and Professor Zan of the Aldebaranian Science Academy, and Chief Researcher Volna from the Tau Ceti Institute. They've agreed to join us in what we're calling the Sol Concordat." The delegates looked confused. Jack touched a control, and a holographic display appeared in the center of the room. It showed a complex network connecting all their worlds. "Earth didn't build its strength just for war," Jack explained. "We developed technologies in medicine, agriculture, clean energy, and faster-than-light communication. We kept these advances hidden because we feared they would be stolen. Now we're offering to share them freely with Concordat members." He gestured to the scientific ambassadors. "And these worlds will share their knowledge as well. Together, we can advance faster than any of us could alone." The delegate from Rigel, a humanoid with violet skin, looked skeptical. "And what does Earth want in return? Control of our resources? Military bases on our worlds?" Professor Zan of Aldebaranian stepped forward. His tall, thin body and large eyes marked him as one of the oldest species in the galaxy. "We asked the same question. After careful study, we believe humans are sincere. They want partners, not subjects." Jack nodded his thanks. "The Concordat has 3 simple principles. First, mutual defense. An attack on one member is an attack on all. Second, knowledge sharing. Technological advances benefit everyone. Third, sovereignty. Each world governs itself without interference." For 2 hours, the delegates asked questions. Some worried that joining would provoke retaliation from the Council powers. Others feared Earth might become as domineering as the empires they sought to replace. Jack addressed each concern honestly. "We don't claim to be perfect. Humans have a long history of conflict among ourselves. But we've learned from those mistakes. We don't want to rule the galaxy. We just want a voice in its future, and we believe you deserve the same." By the end of the meeting, 22 of the 27 worlds had agreed to join the Concordat. The others asked for time to consult their governments. As the delegates departed, Jack received an urgent message from Admiral Martinez. "The Viridians have mobilized their fleet. They're claiming it's just a training exercise, but intelligence suggests otherwise." Jack wasn't surprised. The Viridian Empire had the most to lose from the changing galactic order. For centuries, they had manipulated newer species against each other, keeping them weak and dependent. "Have they made any aggressive moves?" he asked. "Not yet, but they've sent diplomatic missions to all the worlds you just met with, offering protection from human influence." Jack smiled grimly. "Of course they have. Send the recording of our meeting to Earth. It's time for Phase 4. While Jack managed the diplomatic front, Steve Bennett and the Star Voyager had a different mission. Their advanced stealth systems allowed them to observe the Viridian fleet preparations without detection. "They're gathering quite a force, Captain," said Linda Green, studying the sensor readings. 50 capital ships, at least 200 support vessels." Steve nodded. enough to overwhelm a single world, but not enough to fight a war on multiple fronts. He opened a secure channel to Earth Command. "Admiral, we have confirmation. The Viridians are preparing for a show of force." In her command center on Luna, Karen Martinez reviewed the information. The Viridians clearly hoped to intimidate the potential Concordat members. They wouldn't attack Earth directly. They had seen what happened to the Krell, but they might target Earth's new allies. "Captain Bennett, remain in observation position," she ordered. "Record everything, but take no action unless directly threatened." She then contacted Jack. "The Viridians will make their move soon. Are you ready?" "Our allies are prepared," Jack confirmed. "The moment the Viridians enter the space of any Concordat member, implementation protocols will activate." What the Viridians didn't know was that Earth had already begun installing defense systems on all member worlds. Not weapons, but early warning networks and communication hubs linked to Earth's quantum relay system. 3 days later, the Viridian fleet approached the Proxima Centauri system. Their ambassador had delivered an ultimatum: reject the Sol Concordat or face peacekeeping action. The Proximan government sent an emergency signal through the new quantum network. Within minutes, Earth defense vessels emerged from hyperspace throughout the system. Not hundreds, but thousands. The hidden fleet that had defeated the Krell was just a fraction of Earth's true strength. Admiral Martinez opened a channel to the Viridian command ship. "This is Fleet Admiral Karen Martinez of Earth. Proxima Centauri is under Concordat protection. Any hostile action will be met with overwhelming force." The Viridian fleet halted. For 20 tense minutes they maintained position. Then, without a word, they turned and departed the system. On Earth, news of the Viridian retreat was met with relief. No one wanted war, they wanted respect. "It worked," Karen told her staff. "The Viridians tested our resolve and found it solid." One of her advisors looked troubled. "But what happens when they ally with the Krell and other powers? Even Earth can't fight the entire council." Karen smiled. "We don't intend to fight anyone. That's why we created the Concordat. Together we're stronger than any empire." As reports came in from across the galaxy, it became clear the strategy was working. 5 more worlds requested to join the Concordat. Even some older powers were, quietly reaching out seeking better relations with Earth. The galaxy was changing, and humanity was leading the way. 6 months had passed since the formation of the Sol Concordat. What began with 22 worlds had grown to 36. The new alliance was changing the galaxy in ways no one had predicted. Captain Olivia Rodriguez stood on the observation deck of the Unity Station, the massive space facility orbiting Earth. Below her, representatives from all Concordat worlds were gathering for the first official assembly. "Quite a view, isn't it?" said Lieutenant Alan Foster, her executive officer, joining her at the window. "Better than I imagined," Olivia replied. She had been given command of the station 3 months ago after years serving on Earth's hidden fleet. Now her job was to protect the diplomats who would shape the future. In the main assembly hall, delegates took their seats. Some wore environmental suits to survive in Earth's atmosphere. Others appeared almost human. Despite their differences, they shared a common purpose: building something new. Jack Miller stepped onto the central platform. He looked tired but satisfied. The past 6 months had been difficult but rewarding. "Friends and allies," he began. "6 months ago, we formed the Concordat with a simple idea: that newer species deserve the same respect and security as established powers. Today, we see the results of that vision. Holographic displays showed images from across Concordat space. New trade routes connected formerly isolated worlds. Medical technologies from Earth had cured diseases that had plagued other planets for generations. Defense installations protected vulnerable systems from raiders and pirates. But our work has just begun," Jack continued. "The old powers aren't happy with the changes we've made." This was an understatement. The Krell Empire had officially denounced the Concordat as a human plot to dominate the galaxy. The Viridians had imposed trade sanctions on all member worlds. 3 other council powers had threatened military action against any further Concordat expansion. "Let them complain," said the delegate from Proxima Centauri. For the first time, we don't need to fear their threats. From her office on Luna, now expanded as Earth Fleet Headquarters, Admiral Karen Martinez watched the assembly by video feed. On screens around her, reports showed the current state of galactic politics. The old balance of power was shifting, not through war, but through cooperation. "Admiral, we've detected unusual activity near the Krell border," reported her aide. "Multiple ships entering Concordate space." Karen tensed. "Hostile? No weapons active. They're civilian vessels. Thousands of them." Karen studied the data with confusion. Then understanding dawned. They're refugees, all across the border regions. Ships were fleeing Krell space. Not military vessels, but ordinary citizens. Families seeking safety. Workers looking for opportunity. Scientists and engineers who had been restricted by oppressive regimes. "Inform Ambassador Miller immediately," Karen ordered, "and prepare relief ships. These people will need help." Back at the assembly, Jack received the news with surprise. This was unexpected but not unwelcome. The Concordate had focused on protecting its members. They hadn't considered that others might see them as a beacon of hope. "We have a new challenge," he told the delegates, "and an opportunity to show what kind of alliance we truly are." Within hours, Earth vessels were dispatched to assist the refugee ships. Medical teams, food supplies, and temporary housing units were prepared. The Concordate worlds voted unanimously to accept all who sought asylum. On the Star Voyager, now patrolling the border regions, Steve Bennett received new orders from Earth Command. His ship would coordinate the refugee assistance efforts. "Captain, we're picking up a transmission from the lead refugee vessel," Linda Green reported. "It's being broadcast on all frequencies." On the view screen appeared an older Krell, his scales dull with age but his eyes bright and determined. "People of the Concordate, I am Scholar Vex of the Krell Science Academy. With me are 10,000 citizens who seek freedom from the Empire. We bring knowledge, skills, and hope." Steve opened a return channel. "Scholar Vex, this is Captain Bennett of Earth. We welcome you and all who come in peace. Assistance is on the way." The refugee crisis became the Concordate's first major test. Some worried that accepting so many newcomers would strain resources or bring spies into their midst. Others saw it as a moral duty to help those in need. Earth led by example. Human colonies opened their doors to refugees of all species. Earth scientists worked with alien counterparts to solve compatibility issues with food, medicine, and living conditions. In the following weeks, more refugees arrived, not just from Krell space, but from the Viridian Empire and other oppressive regimes. The trickle became a flood as word spread that the Concordate offered something rare in the galaxy: true freedom and protection. On Earth, Karen Martinez met with the Global Leadership Council. "This isn't just a humanitarian issue anymore," she explained. "It's becoming a political movement. People across the galaxy are voting with their feet." The council chair nodded. "And the old powers? They're furious. The Krell have closed their borders, but people are still escaping. The Viridians are threatening military action to rescue their citizens from human coercion. Are we ready if they attack?" Karen smiled. "More than ready. But I don't think they will. Their own populations are watching closely. Any aggressive action could trigger more defections." 2 months later, Jack Miller stood before the Galactic Council again. This time he wasn't alone. With him were representatives from all 36 Concordate worlds. "Honorable Council," he began, "we come with a proposal. For too long, this body has been dominated by a few powerful empires. We suggest a restructuring to give fair representation to all species." The council chamber erupted in shouts. The Krell delegate threatened war. The Viridian representative stormed out in protest. Jack remained calm. "Change is already happening. You can fight it and lose, or adapt and remain relevant. The choice is yours." 3 of the oldest council members, species that had remained neutral for centuries, moved to the center of the chamber. Their spokesperson, an ancient being whose species had traveled the stars when humans were still using stone tools, raised a hand for silence. "We have observed Earth's actions with interest," the elder said. "Humans could have conquered. Instead, they chose to cooperate. Perhaps there is wisdom in their approach. Back on Earth, Olivia Rodriguez watched from the Unity station as news of the council meeting spread across the galaxy. More worlds were requesting to join the Concordat. Refugees continued to arrive, bringing valuable skills and knowledge. "Do you think they understand yet?" asked Alan Foster, standing beside her. "Some do," Olivia replied. "The smarter ones realize we could have conquered half the galaxy by now if domination was our goal." She looked out at the stars, thinking of how much had changed in just 1 year. Earth had revealed its strength when necessary, but had won its greatest victories through compassion and cooperation. The Concordat wasn't just a defensive alliance anymore. It was becoming the future of the galaxy, diverse species working together, sharing knowledge, protecting the weak, and offering hope to the oppressed. Humanity had held back its power for 50 years, waiting and watching. Now they were using that power not to conquer but to build, not to dominate but to elevate, and the galaxy would never be the same again.